I heard it before I even stepped inside. Just dump all 9 kids on her. She doesn't do anything anyway. My hands froze. The grocery bag cut into my wrist, and the catering receipt trembled in the other. I hadn't knocked, I never did. I thought walking in quietly through the side door was helpful. I thought I was being part of the family. But from the kitchen came Logan's voice, easy, amused. Then Emily's laugh, that polite kind of laugh people use when they agree but want to sound gentle about it. She's already paid for the food, Emily said. The least she can do is keep the kids upstairs. The words hit harder than I expected. The receipt crinkled as I tightened my grip. I hadn't told them I'd covered the catering, nearly $2,000. I just wanted Christmas to go smoothly, to give them something nice. You know she'll do it, Logan added. She always does. That was the moment I stepped backward, slow, soundless, and slipped out the same side door I'd come in. My car was waiting, cold and quiet. I sat there for a while, staring at the steering wheel, trying to understand what had just happened. My son wasn't cruel. Not on purpose. He called once a week, hugged me when we met. But somehow, somewhere, I'd stopped being his mother and started being the default. The one who always said yes. When I finally turned the key, the sound of the engine felt strange. Like something had woken up that hadn't moved in years. That night, I laid the receipt on the counter. The total stared back at me like proof of something I didn't want to admit. I asked myself quietly, what exactly am I giving, and what's ever given back? The sentence replayed in my mind, just dump all 9 kids on her, over and over like a bad song I couldn't turn off. And as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I started remembering all the times I'd said yes. When Emily had her surgery, I took care of the kids, cooked, cleaned, stayed up for nights without a thank you. When Maria, her sister, had her 3rd baby, I babysat for days. When Logan and Emily went on vacation, I took over the house. It wasn't cruelty, it was expectation. Wrapped in family language. My younger son Dylan moved to Oregon years ago. He's quiet, thoughtful, careful with my time. But he's far. Logan stayed close, and close slowly turned into available. Available turned into responsible for everything. Crept in like slow rain. Birthdays. Holidays. Emergencies. Then everyday things. Until my life was one long list of obligations I never volunteered for. After Thanksgiving, Logan had promised, "You've done enough, Mom. We'll take care of Christmas this year. Just relax." I believed him. I prepaid for catering, thinking it would make things easier. Kinder. My gift to the family. I never told them. I thought togetherness meant easing their load. But when I heard that sentence, I realized together never actually included me. 3 a.m. I got up, grabbed an old receipt and made 2 columns. Given and received. On the left, I filled line after line: meals, favors, errands, babysitting. On the right, nothing. Not one thing. The next morning I stared at the empty column and wondered if I was being dramatic. Maybe I'd misunderstood. But the more I thought, the more memories came, like puzzle pieces that suddenly made sense. Last Thanksgiving, I slept on a pull-out couch in the basement while my son's in-laws got the guest room. No pillow, no sheet. Emily had said, "Oh shoot, we meant to fix that," and walked away. Mother's Day passed without a call. Not one message. At Logan's wedding, I'd ironed his shirt, tied ribbons on centerpieces, and when the photos came out, I wasn't in a single one. "You must have stepped out," he said. I had. To clean spilled wine off the floor. I flipped the paper over and wrote a new list. 2 headings: what they assume, what I actually want. They assume I don't mind babysitting, they assume I don't need rest, they assume my time is free, they assume I'll pay because I can, and on the other side I finally wrote the truth. I want to be invited, not assigned. I want to sit at the table, not serve it. I want to be seen as a person, not a resource. When I finished, I saw a note I'd written months ago. My old friend, Nadine, had invited me to her ranch for Christmas. I'd scribbled, "Can't. Family comes first." Now that sentence felt like a betrayal to myself. The next morning I called the catering company. "I need to cancel the order," I said. There was a pause, then the woman replied softly, "We can process a partial refund." I thanked her and hung up. It felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. Then I wrote myself a note. "No one else gets to define your worth." I mailed it to my own address. Proof that I was finally listening. Later that day, Logan called. Twice. Then again. No voicemail. Just silence between each ring, heavy as guilt. I didn't pick up .by evening. I pulled out my small suitcase. Just enough for a few clothes, a book, and my travel mug. I booked a motel halfway to Nadine's ranch. As I packed, I realized something. I'd driven that road 100 times for other people, but never once for myself. The sound of the zipper closing didn't feel like running away. It felt like permission. The next morning I left without checking messages. The highway stretched ahead, wide and empty. I didn't play music. Didn't think much at all. Somewhere past Tucson, the light hit my windshield in that soft, forgiving way that feels like freedom. A memory surfaced. Logan as a boy, bringing me tea in a chipped mug, whispering, "Careful, it's hot." His little hands trembling with pride. That boy, so gentle, so full of love. Felt like someone I used to know. Somewhere along the years, that tenderness hardened into assumption. But I still loved him. I always would. I just finally understood that love doesn't mean self-erasure. By the time I reached New Mexico, the sky had turned gold. Nadine was waiting. We sat on her porch with coffee and cinnamon rolls, the sun warming the wood beneath our feet. No expectations. Just breathing. Then my phone buzzed. Logan's name. I answered. "Where are you?" he demanded. "Not at home," I said. "Not with you." "I know about the plan," I continued. "I heard you tell Emily to dump the kids on me." He stammered, started to explain, but I kept going. "You didn't ask me. You assigned me. You planned Christmas without me. And only remembered me when you needed someone to pay for it." A pause. Then, "You're still coming, right? You're just upset." "No, Logan. I canceled everything. The food, the gifts. All of it. I paid for it and I took it back." "Mom, you're being dramatic." "I'm being honest," I said. "There's a difference." I could hear the chaos in the background. Voices asking if I was on my way. "No," I whispered, more to myself than to him. "Not anymore." Then I hung up. Nadine didn't ask what happened. She just handed me another cinnamon roll. The silence between us felt like healing. Christmas morning came quiet and warm. No timers, no crying kids, no chaos. Just music low from a radio and the smell of soup simmering. We cooked together without roles, without obligation. Later, the neighbors came, bringing tamales and cider. We laughed, told stories, played cards. And for the first time in years, I sat at a table with nothing to prove. No task waiting. No one leaning on me. Just me, Irene, enough as I was. Days passed. Then one afternoon, a knock came, sharp, certain. Logan stood there, Emily beside him, Maria behind her. "You embarrassed us," Emily said before even stepping in. "The food never showed up," Maria added. "We had to scramble. You ruined Christmas." I stood still, hands resting on the counter. "I didn't ruin anything," I said quietly. "I just stepped out of a role I never agreed to play." Logan frowned. "What does that even mean?" "It means I'm not your staff. I'm not the babysitter or the backup plan. I'm your mother, not your employee." Maria scoffed. "So you punished everyone because you were tired?" "No," I said. "I chose not to be used. That's not punishment. That's self-respect." Silence filled the room. I opened the door. "If you came for an apology, you won't get one." They hesitated, then left. I closed the door softly and locked it. That was 2 months ago. Now my days are quiet. No constant requests. No guilt. I walk to the library on Saturdays, sit by the window with coffee and sunlight. I volunteer at the clinic on Thursdays. Cook when I feel like it. I buy flowers even if they wilt too soon. Logan still calls sometimes. Late at night. I don't answer. Not out of anger, but peace. The silence that used to feel like loneliness now feels like a home I finally own. Sometimes I catch myself reaching for my phone out of habit. Then I stop. I sit back. I exhale. And I feel the shape of my life settling finally into something that belongs to me. Not borrowed. Not expected. Just mine.